Good day, students. Welcome to our virtual class in Part 1 Human Resource Management. At the end of the unit, you are expected to rationalize the key concepts of human resource management, its roles and responsibilities. Meta language, or the terms that we're going to know before we proceed to our lesson. Human resource management. This is the strategic approach to the effective management of people in a company or organization, such that they help their business gain a competitive advantage. Human capital, the attributes gained by an employee through education and experience. Information technology deals with how information is accessed, gathered, analyzed, and communicated. And or the organizational chart is a diagram showing the relationship of one department to others, or of one function of an organization to another. Now let's have the major purposes of manpower management. As you can see in the screen, this illustration shows the four different categories under purposes of manpower. We have acquisition, development, maintenance, utilization. For us to be able to manage manpower, kailangan muna nating kumuha ng mga tao, or we call it acquisition, or from the root word, to acquire people. Under acquisition, we have job analysis, recruitment, selection, in which we will going to expound it in the following topics. The objective of acquisition is to get the right person for the job. The second purpose of manpower is development. This includes training and development, performance appraisal, and coping with changing technology. Now, the objective for this is to get the most from the employee. Since you already acquire them, now you hope to get the right person for the job. And for you to be able to let them work or let them finish the task, then you need to train them or for you to get most of their skills and talents. The third purpose of manpower is maintenance. Under this are wage and salary administration, benefits and services, labor management relations, collective bargaining, and discipline complaints and grievances. Now, for us to be able to keep our employees, we need to maintain them through giving them the items that I have mentioned. Now, the objective for this is to retain the best workforce. After all, the first and foremost reason why we work is for us to be able to get wage and salary. And as well, the secondary are we can harmoniously work inside the organization. And the last purpose of manpower is utilization. Under utilization is the human resource planning and career development. The objective of this is to instill loyalty among the employees. The overall objective of this is to increase productivity. Now let's have the essential knowledge. But before we proceed, please take note of this quote that human resources are the greatest asset of every organization. Lesson 1. Changing perspective of a human resource management. Now we have a question here. Why does some organization become successful while others fail despite the same opportunities available? Some of you who are currently listening to this video presentation might already have answers in your mind. You can share it to me, you can send me a private message, or you can just actually finish the video and give me your idea or opinion after this video. Findings show The key to survival and success lies not in the rational quantitative approaches, but rather in the commitment to irrational, difficult to measure things like people, quality, customer service, and most importantly in developing the flexibility to meet changing conditions. Ang ibig sabihin nito sa tanong na why does some organization become successful while ang iba, they fail? Now, ang sagot doon is that the organization can survive and can succeed not only for the reason that they have these rational quantitative approaches or ang ibig sabihin, these detailed approaches, this organized way of doing things in the company, these measurable things that we do in the company like the goals and etc. But not only that, they can also survive or they can mostly survive and succeed if they are going to consider and be committed to irrational, difficult to measure things like people. When we say difficult to measure things or irrational, difficult to measure things, these are more likely pointing out people because when you say people or we call it employees inside the organization, it's really difficult to handle them. Kasi nga, iba-iba ang tao, may iba-ibang culture, may iba-ibang kinalakhan, may iba-ibang paniniwala sa buhay, at kung ano-ano pang ginagawa. Kaya, some organizations succeed na in business because they always consider their people, their employees. This difficult to measure people. No? And not only that, they also focus their organization to quality customer service and most importantly, in developing the flexibility to meet changing conditions. Lalo na ngayon na nandito tayo, we are being challenged in this pandemic. Now we need to become flexible to meet, to cope up with the condition, especially the changes in the present times. For lesson 2, the evolution of human resource management, you can see in the screen the origin and the development of human resource management. First was during the 17th century before the start of Industrial Revolution, where apprenticeship is evident, followed by Industrial Age, where there was assembly line production, and then during 1800s, unions, followed by the 20th century, in the presence of Frederick Taylor with his theory, scientific management. And lastly, is the 1930s, the start of the management of human resources by Elton Mayo. In the 17th century, before the start of industrial revolutions, working arrangement involved close relationship between mentors and apprentice dedication to a particular trade. So again, this is before the Industrial Revolution. Alam naman natin na nung unang panahon, people or companies and businesses were not like as techy as now. Kung dati, mano-mano talaga ang paggawa ng mga task, gano'n talaga ang paggawa ng mga produkto. And now, this was during 17th century where there was no industry, there was no machines, there were no factories who can be able to make products. So, ang nangyari, working arrangement involve close relationship between mentors and apprentice or apprentices, in which there are two persons. One is the mentor, yung expert for the task or for the job, and then the apprentice or yung tinatawag natin sa layman term or sa ating mga tawag nato na body-body or alalay or someone na who can actually relieve or makarelieve po sa mentor if instances na wala si mentor. So, with that, naana siya apprentice nga natudluan niya paano gawin ang product. So, that was the thing before. Kasi nga, of course, lisod kaayo kung ikaw lang ang kabalo mo buhat sa product, you know everything, and then what if may mangyari sa'yo, then at least you have the apprentice who can actually do the job. This is an example. This is the mentor, while this is the apprentice na tinuturuan ni mentor. After that, it evolved in industrial age. Notion of work moved from guilds and home shops to steam-driven factories. So, eto na yung kasagsagan ng industrial age or the industries were existing or have existed. Meron ng mga factories nagsulputan na kung saan kailangan ito ng mga low-skilled workers who can actually do the routinary work. No? One major example of this was the Henry Ford, no? Siya yung um, nagpauna din ng factory na kung saan nagkaroon ng mga assembly lines na kasagsagan din ng mga panahon na kung saan ang mga tao ay maraming tao ang kailangan for them to be able to create or produce a lot of products, no? Nung unang panahon, 'di ba, from the time na apprentice, so doon kasi kaya lang like mabilang lang sa kamay or konti lang yung production. But since dumadami ang tao, dumadami ang mga kailangan, kaya pumutok yung industrial age. And thank God for the inventors who were able to create these factories na kung saan, even though hindi pa masyadong high-tech because it was just steam-driven, still, they can actually produce a lot of products. But would like to reiterate as well that during this time, dahil nga maraming kailangan ng mga tao to work or to produce the product itself, may mga times din na naa-abuse na yung mga tao kasi nga the owner itself really wants to have produce large amount. So, minsan nag-overtime, hindi na, minsan hindi na equal ang mga pasweldo and the treatment. That's why, in the 1800s, lumabas yung mga unions. When we say unions, these are number of persons joined or associated together for some common purposes or common interests. When we say common interests or common purposes, this involves the salary, the benefits, and the working conditions. Ang ibig sabihin nito, ito yung mga tao na they join together for them to be able to raise their concern sa management or sa owner ng business. No, i-raise nila, example, maliit yung salary nila, o wala sila masyadong benepisyo, nagtatrabaho sila pero wala sila masyadong natatanggap na benepisyo, wherein they have given their effort, their time, their ability, their talent. And also, the working condition, kung hindi masyadong, o kung hindi maganda yung nararanasan nila sa loob ng company or during the time they are working. Okay, like this one, so ang unions nag-join together. Now, they have resorted to mga rally na nasa mga daan na kung saan ni-raise nila yung mga voice nila, their concerns on the management because again, they felt like they were mistreated, they felt that they were having troubles with their work na kung saan hindi na maganda ang trato ng mga company sa kanila. So from there, in the 20th century, Frederick Taylor, a theorist who proposed the scientific management, shared his 4 overriding principles of management. First is each part of an individual's work is analyzed scientifically. Second, the most suitable person to undertake the job is scientifically chosen and is taught the exact way to do the job. Third, managers must cooperate with workers to ensure the job is done in a scientific way. And fourth, there is a clear division of work and responsibility between management and workers. So this is Frederick Taylor. So balikan natin. Again, previously, no, nagkaroon ng mga unions na kung saan, na-explain ko na nga, na noong unang panahon, ang mga trabahante were being abused, they felt like they were mistreated, they felt like there were no equality in their work. Others have easy work, yung iba mahirap, and then most of the owners before binibigay na lahat ang responsibility sa workers and they don't even give them just pay. No? Kaya hindi din masyadong na-feel, no, ng mga workers before that they are being really paid or they are being compensated. That's why in the time of Frederick Taylor during his 20th century, nag-propose siya ng mga principles of management wherein ang bawat empleyadong nagtatrabaho were carefully analyzed, no, or part of the individual's work. And also, the most suitable person to undertake the job is scientifically chosen and is taught the exact way to do the job. So, meron ng training pagdating ni Frederick Taylor para hindi ma-feel, hindi na magreklamo ang mga empleyado or mga workers before on how to really do the job. No? And from that way, the purpose as well of Frederick Taylor is for productivity. No? Hindi na paulit-ulit yung trabaho, and they can actually feel they are being compensated kasi nga masyadong identified na, no, ang mga tinatrabaho ng mga workers. Managers must cooperate with workers to ensure that the job is done in a scientific way. So there is a process as well. Thorough process pagdating kay Frederick Taylor. So from here, medyo controlled, medyo manageable, at the same time organized na yung trabaho pagdating ni Frederick Taylor. And lastly, there is a clear vision of work and responsibility between management and workers. So, naiwasan na, no, na medyo nakuna na yung mga behind the back na mga salita ng mga workers because in this time of Frederick Taylor, there were already clear vision or division of work. So, kung sino yung who's and who's, no, kung sino yung magtatrabaho nito, sa kanya yon, no? And for this area. Example, like ngayon, di ba? We have business administration as the course, but we have three majors. The human resource management, who does the managing of people. There is marketing, who does the sales and other things. And as well, the financial or financial management, who does the finances. So, meron ng division of work, hindi na yung one man na lang ang nagtatrabaho for everyone, no? And of course, there was also a clear responsibility between the management as well as the workers. And lastly, in the 1930s, this was the start of the management of human resources. So thank God to this person, Elton Mayo, and together with his Harvard colleagues, they kicked off the human relations era, where it emphasizes the human relations contribution or that this contributed to the balance of the movement, no? Because again, kay Frederick Taylor kasi ang emphasis ni kay Frederick Taylor is yung sa productivity, no? Clearness, then organization of the job itself. But in the time of Elton Mayo, he emphasizes that you can actually have productivity and at the same time can actually have human relations or you consider the human element. That's why in today's focus on the human element is seen in enriched jobs, enriched empowerment, and participation in decision making in the workplace. Kasi nga, itong unang panahon, madaling ma-demotivate ang mga tao because they don't even know why they are doing such work. Those were not explained to them. Basta lang magtrabaho kasi syempre kailangan din ng mga trabaho nung unang panahon. But there were people as well who questioned like bakit ganito lang ang sweldo ko? Bakit pabalik-balik, paulit-ulit ang trabaho ko? Now, some of those were actually pointed out in the theory of Elton Mayo, which is the Hawthorne studies, no? Or the human relations era. Nagkaroon ng focus on the enrichment of the jobs, the increase of the empowerment of the employees, and of course, the participation in decision-making in the workplace. Kasi nga, dati, kontrabahante ka, you are only obliged to work. You don't need to talk, wala kang karapatang magsalita, mag-talk back, no? Now, in today's time, we can actually testify this one, or for those who are already working or who might have experience in work, no? Or you might ask with your parents, your sisters who are already working, Now they are somehow involved in decision making in the workplace. And that ends our lesson for today. So let's continue with it in our next virtual class. Thank you so much for listening and God bless.